Okay. Of course, you guys have been introduced to the famous Mike Kaywood, and obviously excited about the job he's doing. And of course, he comes at a time where when you look at our program, our team this year, there's a lot of unknowns, and what that means, we got a lot of newcomers. I think I was counting coming in here. That's probably, I think, 9 maybe newcomers, and to Razorback basketball lost quite a bit due to graduation, and we had some guys that transferred. But at the same time, I'm super excited about the guys that are returning: Daniel, Adrio, Gabe Usaborn, and of course Jonathan Holmes, who was probably one of the fan favorites. So those guys have got to step in big fashion and kind of be leaders for the young guys that are coming on board. But the beauty of it is we've had guys on campus since June, and giving those guys an opportunity to get acclimated and to the day-to-day task of going to class and also working out and trying to become better basketball players. And so now we reached the point now, official practice starts, and very, very excited. I'm excited about the possibilities. On paper, it was a good recruiting class, very heralded recruiting class, but I'm always one of those guys, I don't rush to judgment. The proof will be in the pudding, and we'll see what these guys will do on the floor. I challenged these guys to get better this summer. The guys coming back from last year to get better, and I think those guys have put in some time on the floor in trying to get better. Had a great summer in the classroom, so hopefully that kind of gets us into the fall semester, and practice is here now. We're excited about it. We think we have some athletic guys, some size guys. One of the things I said at the end of the year, I want to be a more defensive-minded team and losing some 1,000-point scorers. I was thinking about it the other day. We've lost some 1,000-point scorers over the last few years. When you think about Dusty Hannas, when you think about Anthlon Bell, when you think about Moses Kinsley, and then, of course, we had 2 guys in the same game last year reached that plateau. So, how do you replace that? Obviously, we have some guys that we got to start off with, in the centerpiece with a guy like Daniel Gafford, but we've got to have some of these young guys to come up and step up for us. Guys such as Mason Jones, who just came from junior college, had a year on his belt. I think a big key is going to be to our team is going to be a guy like Jalen Harris, better known as J5. He's one of those guys that set out last year and got a chance to go against Darryl Macon and Jalen Barford. And by the way, I hope you guys have noticed that those guys are on rosters and they're doing well. I had a chance to watch some of Bobby's highlight last year, and I tell you what, he is the epitome of what Razorback basketball is all about, and he just continues to get better. And so that's going to be our mindset. Let's see if we can get better each and every day. And with the young teams, such as the team we have, that is going to be our motto. Each and every day we got to go out and we got to get better. We got to get better. And we've had some guys that, at times with the individual workouts we've had, that have really stepped up and come on. Strength and conditioning coaches in place. Dave Richardson, that came in formerly at Ohio State, and I think he's kind of took the reins, and he's kind of going with it with our guys in the weight room. They're a little sore early on, but I think it's going to pay off big dividends as we get into this year. As I said, the schedule, without a doubt, is a very, very, for this basketball team, it's a very, very competitive, very tough schedule, and it's one that going to avail us some opportunities, some challenges, but some great, great opportunities. So it starts right now.
Hey, Mike, I know Khalil tweeted something last week about he had a big doctor's appointment, was asking for prayers and stuff. Can you share with us what's going on with Khalil, and is there any update on his situation?
Well, right now, Khalil went through recently went through a bunch of thorough battery of tests, and based on those results, he's not been medically cleared to participate in practice right now. So at this point in time, he's not practicing.
At this point, I mean, it's been over a year. Are you still hopeful, or just what do you think for him moving forward?
Well, that's the statement I just said, Bob. Right now, he's not medically cleared to play. So,
As far as his guards, I mean, you looking for Jalen to kind of take command as the oldest guard here, and just kind of running the things on the point. Who do you have looking at that right now?
well, I think with Jalen coming on board and having an opportunity to be here, and I thought that was the plan, to bring a guy in so he can get a little seasoning, get a little understanding of what it takes to man the floor, to command the floor out there in that position. And so right now he would be one of those guys. But who's to say? We got a guy like Dez Seals, who I think has had a pretty good camp thus far. Isaiah Joe, really good camp. So you got some people. Keyshawn, once he's gotten back healthy now, I think he's going to be one of those guys that commands some of those minutes as well. But I think Jalen's going to be very pivotal in what we do. I think he's one of those guys that can create not only for himself, very, very quick, very athletic, has a good basketball IQ, and he can get guys in places and set them up. I think back to the days when we had Kareem Reed. Kareem got a lot of assists for Pat Bradley, got easy opportunities for Derek Hood, and that's not comparing Jalen to that, but I think he'll be one of those guys that can get into gaps and create and find people in the right places. Very much. Like Jabril did. I thought Jabril in his second year this guy had 205 assists, I think. And so we're looking for him to be able to orchestrate some things for us, offensively as well as defensively.
Mike, you mentioned Isaiah Joe and Desi Sills. I think those guys have known each other a long time, played together a lot before. What do you think about those two guys and their familiarity with each other? What are you looking for out of them as freshmen?
Well, just come in and number one is just pick up on the little nuances of what takes place at this level. There's a strength factor. There's a quickness factor. You can't take plays off. Isaiah's a guy that can put the ball in the hole. He can score. He can shoot the basketball. But I think Isaiah's got a really overall game. He can pass the ball well. He's a pretty good defensive player. Just has a great, great basketball IQ. Dez is one of those guys that really can get in gaps and create, for himself and others. He can score as well. But more importantly, he also he has that ruggedness about guarding people. He has a lot of pride. He's got that Doberman mentality, which I love about him. He's a competitor. He's a winner. You look at his resume from high school. I want him to bring that winning mindset, and that's what you want with a guy like Isaiah Joe. Those guys have won state championship. We're trying to win national championships, so you got to have guys with that mindset, that in their DNA, and come in and leave everything and play for the name on the front of the jersey. That's the biggest key right there. And the beauty of it is there's opportunity for those guys. We had some guys that transferred out, and so now these guys are going to be like thrown right into the fire. And but I think they relish that opportunity.
Is this a team that fits what you want to do defensively?
Well, I'm saying that right now, but we'll see as we really get into the defensive philosophy in terms of what we do. I think from a potential standpoint, I think the athletic ability there, the length is there. I want to see if the toughness is going to be there, and toughness to me is when you done played 35 minutes and you got to dig into the tank. Can you have a mindset of getting 5 stops? Can you get those tough rebounds? Do you have multiple guys that are willing to take the charge? You got to be able to protect that rim. Obviously you got Daniel. We got some other guys that, especially if you're a team that's extending the floor, pressing people. But you got to have somebody back there that can hopefully defend the rim. And so that comes in a lot of different ways, whether it be taking charges, whether it be coming from behind, hunting the ball. So I just want a team that's going to be a kamikaze, just get after it, and it be more than 2 or 3 or 4 guys, and I'm hoping, that's my mindset, is that we're going to have a team that's going to really defend, they're going to fight, they're going to compete each and every night out.
Mike, you've had guards that have not always had a lot of size, but you had, or on the wings even, you had Khalil Garland, Darius Hall in the previous class. This year you got 6'5" in Mason Jones, 6'5" in Isaiah Joe, 6'7" in Jordan Phillips. So I want to know, is this going to be a better team defensively on the perimeter with more length and athleticism, And what kind of versatility and matchup problems can that cause? Follow-up question to that is Jordan Phillips. Is he full go? Is he cleared medically full
He
go?
hadn't finished up yet. You know, he had a meniscus the repair is what he had, and so he's still rehabbing that, and hopefully get him back here in the next month and a half or so. Jordan Phillips, that is. But when you talk about the other guy, those are question marks. I talk about question marks. You know, I can sit here and say, yeah, they're going to be defensively. We should be better, but you know, until we go through practice each and every day, we'll find out. And really, you know, the things we worked on this summer is more skill development, and we did some team things, but now we dive right into it now. You know, the offensive set. This morning we had a 6 a.m. workout where we're teaching. We're teaching about offensive sets and things of that nature. And as we get those in, then we'll really work on our defense this afternoon and throughout the week. And I'll get a better feel of where we are defensively. But you got to connect them all together. Defense is not just I'm guarding you or he just guarding him. It's got to be help size. It's got to be 2 passes away, 3 passes away. When the trap takes place, the rotation, it takes time. It takes time. You know, I always say it's like an artist putting paint on a canvas. I say this every year. And what you got to do is you got to, you know, with this group here, I'm having to teach more. You know, normally you go in and just clean it up and get better at the things that you want to do. And with this team here, there's a lot of teaching. So that'll be a lot of times we'll slow it down in order to get them to speed up. But I want us to be one of the more exciting, fastest. I think it's going to be an exciting team. I really, really do. We got guys who can run the floor. We got guys that versatile, can play many, many different spots. So that to allude to your question, defensively as well. You know, a guy like Jordan, he can guard a guard, he can guard a forward. Reggie Chaney, when the switches occur, and we're seeing more and more of that take place in basketball, where you gotta have versatility. You gotta have guys that are versatile parts, and so our bench should be the strength of this basketball team. Obviously, when you got a guy like Daniel, a guy that hopefully he's a guy that's capable of getting you a double-double each and every night. So we're gonna lean on him to do some of those things. Adrio's experience really comes in hand. Gabe was subordinate. We saw what Gabe was capable of doing. I think Reggie Chaney is going to be an outstanding player here. I think he's going to have a tremendous, tremendous career here in a Razorback uniform. Keyshawn Embry. I mean, you keep naming names, and of course, they hadn't put that Razorback uniform on, but you guys get a chance to see a little bit glimpse of them today. But more importantly, it's not where they start, it's where they're going to finish at. And I think each and every day they come in, they wear the hard hats, they're working extremely hard, and they're very, very coachable kids. They're very, very coachable. And I think with that being said, I think they're going to end up being a really, really good basketball team.
Mike, with Sills and Joe, do you see any, like a little bit of chemistry between them that normally newcomers wouldn't have because they know each other so well?
This is Isaiah and Dez.
Yeah.
I think there's a familiarity. I think it is, and you can sense that. I think he knows where, especially Dez, is. He's a guy that can penetrate, and in the open floor he's really, really good. And I think he can find Isaiah spotting up, or vice versa. So that hopefully that helps in the process.
How much growth has those incoming forwards gotten, in these individual workouts?
I think they've kind of had their eyes open up. A guy like Ethan here in the last 2 weeks, he's really starting to show that he can help contribute for the most part. I mean, there are days when they just eat him alive. And but here recently, I mean, he's starting to now be much more competitive. And that's whether it be Daniel, whether it be Reggie, whether it be Gabe, it doesn't matter. So these guys are starting to compete and start to pick up on some things. And I even see them kind of expediting that process once we get to practice. Once you get to practice, man, things kind of pick up a whole lot more because you're getting closer now where within a month, we're going to be probably playing a red-white game with officials and things of that nature. Then you're going to play an exhibition game, and you ain't going to be able to play all of them. So right now, they're in that situation right now. They're trying to show us, the coaches staff, who are the guys that should deem all this playing time that's available, and there's plenty of playing time available.
What difference does it make to have Daniel returning to the program, and how do you utilize him?
Daniel had an extraordinary year. We saw that, but now you go from being a guy that was, one of the guys that they didn't really game plan for, but now they're going to have to. And we saw going down the stretch, people really targeted him. They they double up on him. They made it real difficult, got real physical with him. So one of his charges this summer was to get a little stronger, get a bigger base, get some more go-to moves, and I think he's had a really good summer. Went out to the Nike Academy and really played well. And so hopefully his confidence, the experience that he got last year versus this year, it's going to be a different animal because now people are going to game plan. They're going to come at you. They're going to make you maybe be the guy that distributes things out. But I think we'll still see Daniel continue to do the things he did. I mean, I thought he was one of those guys could run the floor like a guard. He rebound the basketball, very active, rebound the basketball on the offense and defense. So hopefully now he get a chance to he figured out the foul issues that he had all year long. You know, early on he was playing like he probably was the most efficient guy in the country. I mean, this guy was playing like maybe 12 minutes and getting probably about 8 rebounds, about 10 points. And then he figured it out, and of course his minutes kind of went up. So we just got to have a guy that's going to give us a presence, whether it be in the post, whether it be in screen and roll situation. Continue to attack the offensive glass. Got to shoot free throws better. He's going to get fouled a lot this year. So we're going to make sure that that a lot of things go through Daniel.
You talked about Reggie Chaney and watching him in the shoe circuits. Seems like a guy that can bring some offense at the 4 spot, something you haven't always had. How does that help Dan Gafford to have another presence inside if it's Chaney that can find ways to score the ball?
Reggie's a skill forward. I think his confidence is something that kind of eludes. I mean, he is kind of soared. He's a pretty good distributor with the basketball. Defensively, I think he got a chance to be a really good player. Has a long wingspan. I mean, if you recall Moses with the long wingspan, I think this guy got one of those wingspans very similar to that. So, but he's very, very athletic, very quick. Can step away from the basket. So he gives us hopefully in that position where it's a tough matchup for people because he can step out and shoot it, and he can get it inside, but he also can go inside as well. And I think he's going to be a tremendous open court player.
Gabe did a lot of the blue collar things for you last year. What kind of transformations he had throughout the summer?
I think Gabe hopefully sees the opportunity to get more minutes. I thought the minutes that he played for us was very, very effective. Now hopefully the game can slow down for him even more as he gets an opportunity to play more. But I think he's one of those guys that is in the trenches, going to do all the little dirty work. You think about a guy like Cody Clark. Cody was really, really big for us. Even a guy like Jacory, they do all the little things that add up to be big things. And Gabe is one of those guys at 6'8". I mean, he's very, very versatile. He can get it and go coast to coast. I just got to make sure he understands. Sometimes you got to pass it on up the floor as opposed to dribbling it up the floor. We're working on that, but I think he plays with his heart. And that's going to be a big thing about this team here. They're going to have to play with a lot of heart, to make up for the, people are going to say the inexperienced. And the only way you make up for that is that, how hard you play, how hard you compete. You got to play together. You got to be the ultimate team.
Mike, how would you feel about the team's conditioning overall? And who were the best guys running Cleveland Hill?
The Cleveland Hill, I think it was Dez and Isaiah. Funny you had mentioned that. Those guys, they were the guys that finished, did not even stop running, and so that was pretty impressive. They've had a pretty good camp up until this point. Our conditioning was. I thought they did a pretty good job. The difference in this year now is that to me the conditioning takes place whenever they're on the floor. You have 8 weeks in the summer that you can work with these guys, and then of course when they came back from the fall, we've been going at it 4 hours of individual workouts that you can do, and plus the weight room. So I think they're in pretty decent shape. I'm gonna find out real quick what kind of shape they're in this afternoon.
Yeah, I guess with the guards you've got, do you feel comfortable that they'll be able to produce enough to be able to space the floor for Daniel, for Reggie, for an 8-year-old to be able to play inside?
Well, that's something our coaches and I we talked about at length. Do we have guys that can extend the floor? When you have guys like Barford and you had a guy like Macon, along with Anton Beard, people had to honor him because he can shoot the basketball. Do these guards command that same respect? Because obviously they're going to try to pack it in there on Daniel. And so a guy like Mason, he's got to be able to knock shots and create shots. I think we do have guys that can shoot it. We'll find out, more as we go, and that's what the practice to me are really geared toward. Find those guys that you can be knockdown shooters. Who are those guys going to be when it's clutch time? Who's going to be that guy? But I feel we do, and but I think that's something that we've got to work on and create in a team setting, and we find out our tendencies. Who are going to be those guys? Hopefully we can have a core in each and every year. We always talk about having that core of 8 to 9 guys, and right now it's wide open. It's wide open in terms of who are going to be those guys that are going to start for this basketball team. And that excites me because now we can shape this team how we want it to be, and we want it to be one of the better defensive teams we've had since we've been here. All right, thank you guys.